All right, this video is a quick getting started overview of the new gatehouse system. The vendor that's providing the system is called Visit Form. It's Visit and Form combined into one word. And the app that you will be using on the gatehouse computer is called Visit Form Access. There's also an interface for management as well as an interface for the residents. The resident application is called Visit Form Portal. So if you hear a resident refer to the portal, that is what they're talking about. This is the Glenmore Gatehouse, and at the very top will always be the current date and an active clock showing the time. When you first show up and begin your shift, you should be able to start your shift. You'll either be on this screen or somebody else will still be on their shift, and I'll show you how to cancel that. So if you're on this screen, what you would do is just start entering your name. So if let's say Shantice was coming, I would type C, and then immediately I get anybody with a C in their name, and I could just hit Shantice. Similarly, I think not T, S. S gives you everybody, so you can see that everyone is actually set up. So just depending on who you are, select your name. So I'm going to go with Thomas, and I'm going to say Start Shift. And that takes you to the main screen. Down at the bottom here, you can see the current guard on shift is Thomas Russell, and you can end shift. So when you are through with your shift, if you remember, hit end shift, and then the next guard will start their shift. Or when the next guard shows up, they can do end shift, and then they can change it to be their shift. So that's starting and stopping your shifts. Very simple. On the main screen, I just want to walk you through this first. I'm going to have subsequent videos that go into the detail. At the top left here is a grouping called check-in, and this is probably the area you're going to focus most of your time. By default, when the screen comes up, it's on vendor check-in, and the bottom half of the screen down here is all related to vendor check-in. To check in a visitor. So vendors, and this is an important distinction, there's a very clear difference between vendors and visitors in the new system, both for the guards as well as the residents. So you're going to need to be able to distinguish at the gate when somebody comes up, whether they're checking in as a vendor or a visitor. And in most cases, you know that it'll be obvious. In a few cases, you're going to have to ask the visitor, the guest, a question around why they're there and who they're visiting to know that. So the default is vendor. If you click on visitor, you get the visitor check-in, and it's a slightly different process. There's also below that gate, and there is a control. So if you click on that, you actually can control directly from the computer, both the vendor and the resident gates. Fairly self-explanatory here. If you hit the open button, it'll open the gate. If you hit the close button, it'll close the gate. Currently, they're set up that if you hit the open button and there's no car there, the gate will then close within like 10 seconds. If there's a car there, it'll stay open until the car passes, and that's true for both of these gates. And you can close it by either hitting the X in the top right or the close in the bottom right. Over here on the right-hand side at the top is logs. Currently, the only log we're using will be the visit log. So that will actually show you the history visits for both vendors and visitors. This is the current production system, so there currently aren't any because we haven't started checking in vendors and visitors yet. Below that are two groupings. One is notes, and then it has a post-it note function. This will allow guards to post literally what look like post-it notes. You can title them, and then they're accessible by all the guards. So if there's information that you want to be updating and communicating across shifts, you could do that. You could have a weekly note, etc. You can have multiple notes. You can set how long they're active. That will be up to you how you ultimately end up using the post-it note functionality. Community are the things related to the residents and the individuals in the community. The first is lots. You'll probably go to this page frequently. It is a list of all of the lots and the residents at each lot. And when you click on one of these, if I go to mine, for example, you can see all the basic information, the contact information, email of the primary resident, the registered vendors, the registered visitors. I currently don't have any visitors. The vehicles that are registered to our lot, emergency contacts, and then you have the ability to add notes for a lot. These are these are notes made by the guard. And then I can close to go back. The vendors is all of the vendors in the system. There are currently 1,484 vendors that have been reviewed and approved. And I'll spend more time talking about those. There's an unapproved vendors list. We'll discuss those in a subsequent video. And vendor types. I believe we currently have 52 defined vendor types. Okay, so that's vendors. And finally, away. Away is a list of all of the residents who are currently away as of a given point in time. And you can change this to be any point in time in the past or in the future. So if I go, say, to the 30th of October, that list will change and show who's currently away. I want to go back to today, and I'll click here. So what we can see is that some of the residents who've been going through the setup process here over the past week are actually putting in or beginning to put in their away information. So you can see that. I'll close that and back to the main page. So that's really the overview, right? How to start your shift, stop your shift, and just what are the key buttons. There's a lot of additional functionality available in the system, including the package tracking, which has not yet been enabled. It's not going to be enabled for phase one, but will come soon thereafter. We're sort of phasing this in so that the guards and the residents have a chance to get comfortable with each piece of the system versus pushing everything out there all at once. So that's where we stand, and then I will end the shift and end this initial video.